White Plains Police Officer Cianci.
Good morning. This is Life Aid reporting a medical alert.
Where at?
135
Yep.
South Lexington Avenue.
Okay, apartment number?
1B, like boy?
1B. Medical alert?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of the resident?
Last name is Chamberlain. First name Kenneth.
My memories of my father, he was my first hero. He was a superhero to me. There was nothing Dad couldn't do. Really tried to keep me on the straight and narrow. He stressed the importance of education, and he was the one that taught me, I say, how to hold my head up high, really, in the face of adversity, no matter what's going on. Even if you were wrong with something, you hold your head up high and you accept the consequences of your actions. And I miss him very dearly. I am my father's child.
White Plains Police Emergency.
White Plains Police Department, all first responders.
Good morning, sir. I'm attempting to cancel a dispatch for Kenneth Chamberlain at 135 South Lexington.
And they were notified, even when Life Aid called them, that they were responding to a medical emergency.
Okay. You know, we have units on scene right now.
Yeah, we're on the line with him on a two-way communication. He's saying he's not going to open the door, and they're scared he's going to bust his door down.
They knew that they were not responding to any type of crime. There was no crime in progress. There were no exigent circumstances for them to make entry into my father's home.
Right. They're gonna make entry anyway.
Okay, so hold on. Give him a chance to come to the door to open it, because he's okay to open it.
Okay. I mean, they have a key they're going to open with anyway, so...
Oh, they have a key?
Yeah, they're not going to break it down.
Simply put, when people ask me about the audio, I tell them you hear misconduct to murder. That's what you hear.
I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Come on, take the lock off. Get the door. Come on. Come on, you're a grown-ass man. You can do it.
You hear these police officers banging on my father's door. You hear my father telling them that he is okay and that he didn't call them. You hear them yelling at him, screaming at him, mocking his military service, taunting him using expletives.
I'm fine. I'm not sick. I'm not disabled.
At one point, my father says, I told you I'm okay, I didn't call you, and this is when you hear the expletive being used and then the racial slur.
Don't do that, sir. Don't do that. Don't do that, officer. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. I'm telling you I'm okay. I'm telling you I'm okay.
If someone says, I'm fine, the person you came to check on tells you he's fine. The Life Aid monitoring station calls back and cancels the call and says he's fine. Then why are you still there? It should have been, sorry to have disturbed you, sir, and you went on.
The police broke the front door off its hinges, and by the time they left, Chamberlain was shot dead, twice in the chest. The two police officers shot Chamberlain first with a taser, then a beanbag shotgun, and finally with live ammunition. Since the Life Aid system records all calls with distressed patients, the entire event in Chamberlain's was recorded over audio, including what Chamberlain's lawyers refer to as racial slurs. The recording picked up how the police taunted him. They even mocked his military service.
And I just couldn't understand why that happened, what happened, why did he lose his life that day.
At 7:09 a.m., just about 2 hours after a medical alert dispatcher calls to see if the former Marine is okay, Kenneth Chamberlain is pronounced dead.
And the entire time before hearing that audio, I never made this about race. I think that sometimes the media will try to do that and try to pit one side against the other. My biggest thing is just accountability. I want someone to be held accountable in the killing of my father.
My name is Sandy Burnaby. I'm a social worker and I'm a community organizer. I'm currently the chapter president of the National Association of Social Workers in the New York City chapter. I'm also a founding member of the Anti-Racist Alliance. We have completed the Undoing Racism workshop offered by the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. And there's a 2.5-day workshop that really provides a pretty powerful and consistent analysis of structural racism. Racism is at the groundwater level of every institution in this country. When we put that 3/5 clause in the Constitution, right on that first page, that people of color, the enslaved Africans, who would be considered 3/5 for the purpose of representation in the South, we've had that in the Constitution. Every institution was designed already in existence before we signed the Constitution, with that belief in mind. What we're talking about is systemic racism. So that bias, that discrimination, that pro-white is baked into education, health, housing, transportation, every institution, including policing. Policing has an additional problem, and that the first police were the police of the slave patrols. And their mission was to make sure that the property of the white slave owners would be controlled. So when you're an institution of policing, part of militarism, right, with an added overt mission to maintain that you have as a purpose the maintenance of control of human beings, that is in the fabric of the existence of the institution of policing. And we've had a hell of a time trying to get it out ever since. When we look at racism, we're not looking at individuals. We're looking at a culture. We're looking at a system. I think it would be very dangerous to say that all police officers are bad or all police officers are using excessive force. I mean, that just wouldn't be true. Yet, the culture of policing needs to be held accountable.
Will there be more Christopher Ridleys throughout this nation?
The National Black Police Officers Association is hoping the answer to that is no. That's why they've decided to hold this press conference Sunday in front of Mount Vernon Police Department. The group of officers say they are keeping a close eye on the investigation into the shooting death of Detective Christopher Ridley.
I've been a correction officer for 25 years. Actually, next month, June, it'll be my 25th. I'll be completing my 25th year at the Westchester County Department of Corrections. You want to work with your counterparts, no matter what color they are, but you also see the racism, see the bigotry that is within the department.
Back on January 25th, Officer Ridley, who was off duty, tried to break up a street fight between Anthony Jacobs and another man in White Plains. Investigators believe Jacobs grabbed Ridley's gun, and while struggling to get it back, Ridley was shot dead by 4 county cops in a case of mistaken identity.
In New York, there have been over 20 incidents of black officers, whether they're on duty or off duty, but the main thing that was in plain clothes, have been shot out and killed by their white counterparts. And this incident never happened in reverse. So, you know, we feel if it can happen to us, it could happen to any young black man walking on the street. Because when you go through the academy, you are taught it's us against them.
On the ground. Hold up, sir. I told you to stay. Your ass is down on the ground.
Police are not trained to protect and serve the black community. The police are trained to contain and control the black community. It's unfortunate because as a black man, even before you're a cop, you know that there is racism within law enforcement because by the way that you're treated.
And these officers say they also want more training within the police department to recognize off-duty officers, so what happened to Ridley doesn't happen again.
The politicians, lawmakers, policymakers in Westchester should sit down and develop comprehensive training and programs within law enforcement. It cannot be politics as usual.
Any injustice to anyone will affect you, especially a person of color. So whether it happened in Westchester, whether it happened in Baltimore, whether it happened in Florida, it's an injustice. A black youth is no longer living, and the hands of a cop had contributed to that.
You know, that's a scary thought, that I could walk outside my house and not do anything wrong and possibly not make it back to my house.
A lot of times what they brought back in me was being a young person and having law enforcement pull guns out on me and my friends. And just having that thought in my head that one day we could have been out of here. You know, the stuff is real.
So with that being said, we have to be able to have some sort of conscience to understand, you know, there's an issue, and this is an ongoing issue. And all I can say is that music speaks to what's going on.
The music to our youth is the biggest teaching tool there is. No matter what grade level, age, they know the music before they know the education.
Hip-hop stands for Highly Intelligent People Healing Our Planet. It was started in 2005. It was started as a result of a conversation that I had with the MLK Institute for Nonviolence. They sought us out as an opportunity to have a youth and law enforcement conference, whereas we would have young people talking with law enforcement about how to improve relationships. And the challenge that they gave me was to create music based upon Dr. King's 6 principles of nonviolent social change and 6 steps to nonviolent social change. So that challenge I then imparted to the young people, to the youth that I was working with, and we created soundtracks for that message.
Step 4, communication. Once you understand the demands, come to an agreement that's good for both ends. Step 5, direct action. Can't be slack. Use your words to talk your problems instead of scratch. Step 6, reform and reconciliation. The united people inside of a united nation.
The young people that we work with, they compose their own music, they write their own music. They do everything themselves. These are self-driven youths.
Youth are here spreading the message. This is not coming from the elder generation. This is coming from youth.
We encourage honesty in order to really get to the bones of everything. And I had commissioners inside of my workshop, you know, and had young people just talking honestly about how they felt. And I hate cops. I don't like cops. I'll never be a cop, stuff like that. But at the end of the discussion, the goal is to always just have a balanced idea of where each other stand.
I'm not here to say kumbaya, we all hold hands and be best friends, but I'm saying we have to speak on what's going on with us, and we have to speak on how can we fix it.
This project is going to allow us to go into communities and have discussions, have dialogue about accountability, the word, and how it applies to law enforcement, how it applies to community members, and how it applies to us moving forward positively as a collective nation. This project also has some great music.
Make brand new, we still hurting. Ever gonna make you rest in peace? The mere rights take away too soon. Little man never even looked to C-13. And they turn their backs when they lead us, cause they try to push us to freedom. I find it ironic, your job is to live and to die for the people. But free ain't free, they lock us in mental and physical prisons. Am I crazy for wanting the world to be safe for my kids and their children? We gather in peace.
So what do you think we could do to prevent a Freddie Gray incident, or Eric Garner incident, a Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. incident?
We all need to see our contribution to maintaining a system that dehumanizes people and turn the mirror inward, and each institution do its share to be honest and to unearth the implicit bias, the prejudice, the discrimination.
I think that police living in their community that they serve is one of the best things that we can do, because the police officer is now a stakeholder in the community. They are part of the community, and you wouldn't beat up on Ray Ray or Junebug if you was in the same store as Ray Ray and Junebug's mother or brother. So it causes everybody to act, even the community, because when they see a police officer, when they get to know a police officer, it builds that relationship. Now, it's not a us against them anymore. It's a community aspect. How do we together, the police that live in community, then the police community and the community, make our community better? I would have police officers work in the Department of Corrections for at least a year before they worked in the street. The reason why is because correction officers, we don't have the gun or the nightstick. And it's one officer dealing with 60 or more inmates. You learn how to diffuse situations without being physical because you're already outnumbered. So as a correction officer working in a jail without all those safety nets, you'll learn to handle things differently. And when you go out the street, you'll take those same skills out on the street before you go to the gun. These young police officers are going to the gun faster.
Can we trust law enforcement to police itself and to investigate itself? And I think the answer is clearly no. And in fact, you can even see that right now when you look at the Freddie Gray situation in Baltimore. The fact that the 6 police officers are now crying that the system doesn't work and that they need an independent prosecutor. And I think that that's remarkable because we've been requesting independent prosecutors for decades. And we did immediately in Mr. Chamberlain's case. And we do that not to say that law enforcement cannot police itself, but that the truth is that it's extremely difficult because you have all kinds of political considerations that come into play. And you now are asking a prosecutor to investigate and possibly indict and seek prison time for people who they work with each and every day.
We want for our government, its agents and officials to be held to the same set of rules or standards that enables a fair and functioning society. I didn't ask for the fight, I was called to it. When you have situations like this, tragedies, a friend of mine said to me one day, he said, "Your pain is turning to passion." He said, "I see it each and every time that you speak." And as I always tell people, there's nothing I can do that's going to bring my dad back. But if I can help put mechanisms in place so that, God forbid, this type of tragedy should ever happen to any other family, there'll be laws in place, there'll be prosecutors in place who will be fair and balanced, who will be transparent in their investigations, and if it is deemed or is found out that these officers acted criminally, then they're going to hold them accountable, then I did my job. And I hope to see that happen. I hope that my fight in my father's case can force that change that's needed. But we know that it's going to take law enforcement and the community working together. We know that.
up a little. Yeah. They say we dangerous, strangers, all of us gang bangers, police, rangers, wanna see me in chains, but we won't stop. Hey, we won't stop. We can protest, march, always do our part. They would still kill us and put us behind bars, but we won't stop. We won't stop. No matter what, they can't take nothing from me. Too many years, our dark days not sunny. They killing us off and they think that it's funny. Grinding so hard just to live life comfy, but a youngin' can't breathe. I'm out here surviving, barely. Can you say I'm wrong for keeping that thing near me? Screaming to the Lord, I wonder if he can hear me. Every day we play the victim and it's scary, wondering if it's the love or the fear me. Only on the song when they choose to hear me. Take any negative and they compare me. Cops no indictment for murder, say it's fairly. Judge cause the judge don't care, he a racist. I hope they take this to the court.